Hello and welcome to a very special cover story. First of all, I'd like to wish our viewers a very happy Independence Day. And today I have with me Pramod Kapoor. He is an author and the founder and the publisher of Rolly Books. Pramodji, good to have you here on the show today. And I would like to share with my viewers the reason why we are having this conversation is I recently read an excerpt from your upcoming book in the Open magazine. The book, of course, is Divided at Birth: The Unmaking of a Nation. And the book actually talked about partition, and we've all know the larger picture, but this actually goes into very interesting details about the the logistics of partition. It goes into the deeper emotion of partition. It talks about the leaders. I'll let you tell us more about the book, but first, I would just like to briefly tell our viewers, because I have someone with me who's really fascinated with that period, the independence period, the freedom period, because his other books have also been an illustrated biography of Gandhi, and the other one was on the 1946 Royal Indian Navy mutiny called the Last War of Independence. So we have an expert on that period, and today is the befitting day to do this book. So congratulations, and we are waiting for the book. When is the book going to be out, Mr. Kapoor?
I'm hoping that we'll publish it on the 26th of January, 1920, I mean, 2026. Uh,
Okay.
but, such books which are so densely researched, one thing leads to the other. You suddenly find something and you say you can't do your book without this particular thing. And that may take, another month or so. So, but yes, the target is 26th of January next year.
Okay, but I was, as I was telling the viewers, I read, I must also congratulate my friend Prasanna Rajan for the magazine issue this year. It has a lot of very interesting articles on freedom, the meaning of, independence, the takeaway. But your chapter in particular really struck me. Can you tell our viewers a bit about it? Because you actually talk about, first the little details, how we actually ended up dividing the library, the books, the army, the stamps. If you can share with our viewers a bit about what all one went through at that time.
Yes, you see, this book is a result of two previous books. When I was doing Gandhi, which was about almost 10 years ago, I started the research. It was published about 5 years ago, and it took me for 5 6 years. I, I'm not a Gandhi scholar. Neither was a scholar on this period. It's just that. With my intensive research and interest in the period, I seem to have got a double promotion and done the and succeeded in doing these books. So when I was doing Gandhi book, I actually one of my closest friend, late Mushirul Hassan, who said, if you're doing Gandhi, you have to read collected works of Mahatma Gandhi. And I didn't know these were 100 volumes. I said, yes, yes, I'll do it, of course. And then when I didn't know, and when then I saw it was 100 volumes, I said, now that I've taken on the challenge, I would read all of them. So I speed read them. I won't say word by word, but whatever was of my interest, I read, and that's when it was a very normal biography. There were many things that even the scholars didn't know, and they all wrote about it in not only in reviews but also preview of the book. So it was very satisfying that I could do something like this
But
because.
tell us a bit about that. What was the bit that the scholars,
Well, you see, there were so many things like Gandhi was ambidextrous. I mean that he could write with his
really?
left hand and he could write with the right hand. Often he said, when that my right hand is now tired, so I'm writing with left hand. Now that sort of thing is not important for a scholar. I mean he is doing the analysis of the
Hmm.
period, etc. So I wrote. I mean I write for common mass market readers. So for them these things are very very important. So there were many such details that he proved himself to be a banya, and whenever someone would ask him for an autograph of his picture, he will say, "Well, I need at least 5 rupees for this," and he will demand.
Acha.
Well, so those kind of things, that, and it was a very popular, became a very popular book because it also happened to be Mahatma Gandhi's 150th. Uh, just 2 years before 150th anniversary, which was
Hmm.
2019. And so we went into some 14 or 15 languages all over the world, and every country, because it was a very sheer luck that it came out at the time when it came out, and it was 150. Now, when I was doing that book, I read about a letter from Sardar Patel to Gandhi, where he says, Jawahar is coming to Bombay for to talk to these ratings. The ratings are the sailors, who are sailors from the Royal Indian Navy. And this will only flare up the things, But let him come. If he's coming now, we can't stop him. So I was very intrigued that why should Sardar Patel be writing a letter like this to Mahatma Gandhi, and but I left it at that because I was in the process of doing Gandhi book. When I finished Gandhi book, I thought, let me just have a look, and I didn't know the extent of this mutiny. In fact, a lot of my scholar friends and even otherwise said that if this book was not done, probably this would have kept being would have remained buried in the history. That it was edited out because nobody wanted to give any credit to this. But anyway, that's a different story.
In
So
fact, you
that book
refer
was
to it also in your book that this is one of the reasons why the British realized that the empire, the hold on the
absolute.
British was
Yes.
declining, is because of the Royal Indian Navy mutiny when the
Navy
Indian.
mutiny. Yes, I believe it, and in fact, as it always happens, that once you finish your book, you find more material and more material which are conclusive. So after I did my Royal Indian Navy book, I discovered that there were several letters that the Viceroy at the time, Wavell, wrote to Attlee, the Prime Minister Attlee, and to the monarch King George at that time,
Mhm.
saying that the situation here is so bad that it's not 1857. We won't be able to really protect ourselves if there was a real rebellion, and this is what is happening because the soldiers. The Gurkha soldiers and the Maratha soldiers have refused to fire when there is a rebellion in the armed forces. So all these kind of letters, at least 8 or 10 letters, were exchanged between London and Whitehall, and saying this. So I then our National Archive is a treasure house. What we have there is amazing.
Mhm.
It's just that it's all being organized. It's taking time, but if it was done earlier with all the digitization, etc., it would have been much easier. But there is a treasure house, as I said. And when I went there, I saw there are hundreds of files on on the naval mutiny. Now,
I
this
see.
is yes, on this naval mutiny of 1946. So because one thing we should give to the British that they were very good people. They were very good archivists. They always kept, even if there was something not so favorable, they would record it. Even the court proceedings were all recorded, even except if there was something damning against the monarchy, they would actually record everything. And so when I started to dig into it, I found a material that made I mean, amazing book. And then, of course, this is what happened in research, that when you do deep research, luck starts to fall on you. And I think I found material from the police archive in Bombay, etc., which was just hidden, it was never seen. So I was lucky in that respect, because I kept at it. And now, now when I was doing the RIN mutiny, Royal Indian Navy mutiny, that's
Mhm.
when that's when I came across that there was a very interesting story. And let me narrate that story here. There was a ship called HMIS Hindustan,
Okay.
which fought valiantly in Karachi. It was harbored in Karachi, and though the mutiny was in Bombay,
Mhm.
where they captured 78 ships and trained the guns on the shore. with all the Gateway of India and Yacht Club and everywhere. And these Britishers were threatening them with these low sorties and saying, "We'll bomb you out." They said, "If you do that, we'll bomb everything on the we'll destroy everything on the shore." So it was that tense. This thing. That's when I saw there was a very I mean, interesting is not the right word, but in hindsight, it was a very tense thing about how in Karachi, this HMIS Hindustan, which was anchored there, fought valiantly with the British soldiers there. Now it was a bad luck because the ship went down because of the low tide, and they came down, and the British soldiers were on top, so they fired and they had to surrender after that time. This is the background of that ship, so I'm telling you. Now,
Okay.
and when the partition happened, this ship India gave to Pakistan. Now it was already damaged because of the firing, etc. But it was towed to India, and then it was being towed back to. Now Pakistan was very unhappy with this. That why is this? They probably call it now Karsaz, SS Karsaz, in still stationed there as a you can say as a museum or something. It's not. But they were very unhappy that they are being given a ship which is almost wrecked and which is
Hmm.
not in working. I mean, in good working condition to be used. So and now but they couldn't do everything because they were the minor partners. We were the major partners. They were the ones who said that they want to separate.
Right.
India remained India. It was Pakistan that was being created at that time. So they were very unhappy with this. But all they could do was to send a motor launcher in exchange. So the
Hmm.
motor launcher called ML420 was sent to us. You know why? Because they said 420, section 430, you're doing a 420 with us. So
Oh,
that's when I said there must be so many more things. If this is how the exchange took place.
exchange.
Uh-huh. And that how it was the army was the partition, the navy, postal, AIR, museums, libraries, everything was partitioned. I mean, the list is endless. But
But tell
so
us,
that
a little more anecdotes how the library was partitioned. I believe it was alphabetical order or something, you write?
you see, but the danger in such a book is that you have to verify everything because a
Everything.
lot of material is oral material. Now, oral material also, if you have something from, Stanford has a very good oral archive, on this period and on this. Now, if I take that as a land, I mean, as a something that I can trust. So
Benchmark. Hmm.
yes. So Stanford, if it confirms even orally, but I do mention in the book that it is oral confirmation. There's no documentation. So you see, but the story about the library is that the Indian library in Calcutta was to be divided. Now there were various options put together that you can take we can divide the book in two-thirds because this was the ratio, two-third and one-third. So that you can take two-third and we take one-third. But they said, look, some of the books are useful for both the sides, so you can't.
Correct.
So then you see the when the division was taking place, it was not always the top members who were there. The top members were Nehruji and Sardar Patel on one side, Liaquat Ali on the other side. So they couldn't be present in such meetings. These were subcommittees which is now the Babus in the subcommittee decided that why don't we just tear every book, and if it's encyclopedia, we go up to an N to India, and M to India, and N to Z to Pakistan. I
What
mean,
blasphemy. My
these
God,
kind
tearing
of
books.
these
Yeah.
kind of bizarre things were put forward. Then in the end, they agreed that look, the library will be accessible to all the Pakistanis. They can come anytime, and they can, like Indians, that they can consult everything, and there is no restriction. Little did they know that this is how what the relationship will be. So that is how it was left, and I think I'm still at it. Because, as I said, unless you have a confirmation from five different sources, you cannot say for sure. So, but this is what happened, that most of the books remained in India then, and that it couldn't be. But there was a bizarre kind of suggestion that you can tear the books,
Can you
and
imagine?
I mean, same with pencils, I mean, there were thousands of pencils in every department. They said, why don't we cut it to two-third and one-third, One-third goes to Pakistan and two-third portion comes to India. That is the simplest thing, So those kind of things
Such a Babu mindset.
were sort
Even
of
the
debated.
silver in the embassies, I remember you were writing the teacups went to one and the
Yes,
teaspoons went
well,
to the other.
that no, that was a statement made by a Britisher, that
Acha.
they left, they took they left the cups but took the silver teaspoons. So I mean, I think that was, as I said, there are lots of things have been confirmed, but as I said, I can't. It's a book, and you can't. It's not a hearsay. You cannot justify. So
But
I'm
it
working
gives
on it.
the context really. That is what is so important as to what the humongous task that was really at play, and it wasn't just every
No,
little thing had to be divided. I'm going to take
no
a break and come back and keep this conversation going. So stay with us.
pleasure. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to a cover story conversation. I have with me Pramod Kapoor, founder and publisher Roli Books, but he's also an author, and we're talking to him about his latest book, which is going to come out in, I think, January next year, The Unmaking of a Nation, Divided at Birth, The Unmaking of a Nation. It's quite a task that you've undertaken in this book. And, the fact is that, we're having this conversation on the anniversary of 15th August today also. Uh, there were a lot of details, we know about the land and the people that were divided. As you said, it wasn't a nation divided, it was a civilization dismembered. I think you used that phrase also. But a bit, for Pakistan, they had to do everything from the postage stamps to the currency. You write the Reserve Bank also served as the Bank of Pakistan for a year. So, can you share a bit about the logistics of all that?
You see, first of all, I mean, of course, it was a huge human tragedy. I mean, the Ratcliffe, who drew the line, had never been to India. He's never been traveled anywhere, and and he was given staff, which of course were some of them were Indians, and actually the main one was a Britisher, but. You'll be surprised to hear, which I was very surprised to hear, that although we got our independence on the 15th of August and Pakistan got on the 14th of August, the lines that were sent to the authorities everywhere, from the district magistrates, etc., did not reach them until the 17th. So from 14th to 17th, you didn't know whether you were in Pakistan or you were in India. So it was only on the 17th that they got the maps, that which and when they got the maps, the farmers realized that they had actually slept in Pakistan, and they actually belong to the other side, or the well that they use is in the Pakistan side, but their field is in. So there were many such instances, and this was bound to happen because you couldn't reach every human being while dividing. So it was truly, first of all, a big human tragedy. There are so many stories which will appear in the book, but yes, we talk about. India had everything, because we were India. We were not getting separated. It was the Pakistan which was getting separated, and they insisted on separation. So,
Yes.
and they were not ready. I mean, we had currency notes where they had to use Indian currency note, and for good 1 year at least, it was said Government of India, and on top it will say Pakistan. Same currency, because it
It's
was over.
stamped Pakistan on top.
Yeah. Same with postage stamps. There was no postage stamps of Pakistan. So there would be Pakistan stamp will be on top, but this was like an Indian postage stamp. Several things like that happened, and I mean, I'm just trying to remember many other things that
What was
you
the
know.
first?
Sorry.
What was the first postage stamp of Pakistan? What did it have? I think
I
you
think
write
it had there were set of there was not
series.
just one. There was I
Hmm.
think five or six. One of them had a minaret, the religious minaret. One of them had Khyber pass on it. I mean the Khyber mountain and the pass, etc., etc. So there were four. I think it was the four that were.
Did one of them also had mountains from Kashmir? Hmm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
of course, yes. I think I mentioned it in
you
the
do. That's
yes. So such things were there, but let me just try and recall. We were, you know, there were these All India Radio, for example. Let me talk about that now. All India Radio, there were almost 12,000 recordings at the time. There were there were artists who decided to stay back. The Muslim artists who started so not stay back, but decided to go to Pakistan. And then we had you know at least one Pakistani, I mean Begum Akhtar, who said no, she's not leaving India, so she remained in Lahore, in Lucknow. Then we had Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, who first went to Pakistan. He said he will go to. Then after 5 years, 7 years, he came back because he said there is little scope for great music here. So he came back and he stayed in. He was from Kasur, but he came back and stayed in Patiala and so on. So the recordings, there was a big problem. They said, look, if the artist has come to Pakistan, all the recording should be given to us. But that would not amount to, again, 30%, because most of the artists had decided to stay in India.
India. Hmm.
And so there was a big problem about that. Then it was decided that we will share some of the, even though they are. So that is how some of the recordings were shared, and but some artists said that look, we this is our music. There's no boundary to our music. I mean,
Hmm.
in those days, if you I mean, you must have read that how everyone in Lahore used to hear All India Radio, and how in Amritsar everyone used to hear Radio Pakistan.
Right.
So that kind of, I mean, they
You
didn't have a.
can't divide the airwaves. Yes.
Yeah, they can't divide the airways. So this is, and in those days it was not easy to block. They're like, well, what happens now? So
Hmm.
there were many such instances where music was one of them. I'm just trying to recall. I should have written down everything. So, but you asked me, I'll remember.
No, you tell us the lovely, heartwarming story about the elephant, Joy Moni, I think.
Yes, that was that. Of course, I think that's touched me the most. It was actually in the between East Bengal and West Bengal, in Malda district, which is in India. There was an elephant, which which was in the bargain was allocated to East Bengal, I mean East Pakistan, and we were given a Land Rover in exchange that we were. Now it was all agreed. But Babus did that, and it was all agreed. However, the Mahood said that he will not go to Pakistan, although I think he was a Muslim. But he said no, this is not this is my home. I'm not going to go from Malda to the other side. The then the authorities came to take the elephant away. And elephant won't move, because without, not only without Mahout, but they also probably have a boundary, and they said they will not. He won't. I mean, he just refused to move. They even played Rabindra Sangeet in front of him, to encounter in front of her, to entice her to come to this side, but he won't move. So for 9, 10 months, this elephant remained in Malda. never refused to move, go across the boundary. And I don't know. There are conflicting reports, but yes, in the end, she was sent to Pakistan. But that's all we know. I'm still trying to figure out. Some stories say that she was allowed to stay back. Some stories say that she went back. So I'm not conclusive about that. But the story is true. It has been recorded, not just an oral thing, but also has been recorded in the subcommittee minutes and the thing. So
No, it's quite a heart-wrenching story because it just tells the plight of the entire nation. What the poor Joy Moni was feeling is what the entire nation, I think, was going through. Both the nations, in fact.
yeah, but there is one story that I just remembered,
Hmm?
which I think was also heartbreaking. There was no National Museum in Delhi at that time. The National Museum came into being, I think, 49 or something like that, 49, 50. Now, our National Museum was Lahore Museum. That's where all the artifacts were kept. And so there, there was a necklace which was from the Mohenjo-daro period, which is
Right.
five now 2,000 years now, and 3,000 is BC is Mohenjo-daro, so 5,000 year old, and we. It was we didn't know who will get it. Remember, they were all haggling, bargaining. In the end, you know what they did? They actually cut the necklace. They actually cut the, and it's true. It is still in 2/3 is in Delhi, in National Museum. It first went to Chandigarh Museum, and from there it came when National Museum Delhi came into being. It came here, and 1/3 is, I think it's 60/40 in this case, because they couldn't make a head and tail of if they were really cut. They made a full necklace out of each portion, but I mean, this was criminal. I mean, so to
Correct.
say. So these are the kind of stories. There are. I mean, I will have to really edit out some, but I'll see how much can I
Leave out.
put in the book. Yes, I mean, after all, it's not an encyclopedic book, so I'll have to be selective of what I put, and that will be my selection, I suppose. Yes.
No, we wish you all the best to the book because it is amazing. These are the little untold stories, and each story, has its own pathos and its own, the division and the pain and the anguish of civilization being dissembered is really coming out through each of these
Yes.
little tales. So I do hope that you'll keep most of them. But thank you so
Well,
much for
for
this.
yes. Well, my pleasure. But as I said, for me too, these are all breaking stories, because I've never read them myself. It's the first time I'm reading them, and it's sometimes you go through different emotions. Sometimes you're sad about it. Sometimes you feel that these were people who didn't know what they were doing. So yes, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm collecting everything, and then we'll figure out what to edit out. Yes.
But on that note, I leave you to your task. But thank you for this conversation. And as I said, when I read that piece, I knew this is a book that I will definitely be picking up, and I'm sure so will our viewers. But on that note,
Thank
thank you for
you.
this.
Thank, thank you. I look forward to finishing it myself, first.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.